In this video, we're going to look at a technique where we will square both sides of an equation to be able to replace with a trig identity. This is very important. Although you should check every single problem that you do, you definitely have to check these. So if you square both sides, check your final solutions, because some may not work. When you square, you add new solutions on because you add that plus or minus result. So we're going to still solve over the interval 0 to 360. Again, the functions will be mixed, so usually if they're mixed functions, we will do 0 to 360. So we're going to have cosine x plus cosine of 90 minus x, just to throw in an extra identity in there. Cosine of 90 minus x is sine x, that is a cofunction identity. And the only way that you would be able to do this and solve this is if you were to get the value squared. Well, actually, there is one other option for doing this question, but I want to look at the squaring both sides. We know we have an identity that says cosine squared plus sine squared is equal to 1. So in order to get that, we would need to square both sides. But before doing that, I'm just going to get the trig functions on opposite sides. That will be important to do, especially if you have more stuff going on too. So we'll have cosine x equals negative sine x. We're going to square both sides. Notice the negative goes away, so that's kind of an issue right there already that you can see. You can switch it into either sine or cosine. I'm going to do the rearrangement where I make sine squared 1 minus cosine squared. But you could definitely do it the other way. I'm going to get that all on one side, so that would give me, actually not all on one side, I'm going to add cosine squared, so I get 2 cosine squared is equal to 1, divide by 2, and then we're going to square root. Now with square root we get plus or minus, so we get cosine x equals plus or minus. Now I'm going to do, this will end up coming out to root 2 over 2, so I'm going to do both sides. Technically with plus or minus you get all of the values that you would get for the reference angle. So our reference angle for this is 45 degrees. Cosine is negative in the, or actually cosine is positive in the first quadrant and the fourth quadrant, and it's negative in the second and third. So the first quadrant, our reference angle is 45. Fourth quadrant, we do 360 minus. We get 315. Now you might know some of these without actually doing some of these rules. Second quadrant, we do 180 minus. So it's going to be 135. And then third quadrant, we do 180 plus to get 225. All right, now I'm not going to circle all of these answers. Your best bet for this will be to go to the calculator and put this in your y equals. So I'm going to put in the original, not the one that I squared, into my y equals. Now if you set your window up and kind of leave it alone, you'll be in good shape. This one was already equal to 0, so that's fantastic. And I have my window from the previous example going negative 10 to 370 and 90 scale, and then negative 10 to 10. So I'm going to keep that. I'm going to hit graph. It's a little slow, but you'll notice we have 4 answers. This graph is only hitting 2 times. So you're going to hit second trace intersect. Get close to one of them. Do your enter 3 times. And 135 is one of my answers, so I'm going to circle that. And then we'll do that again. All right, so I'm going to go back to the calculator and do the same thing again to find the other answer that works. So second, trace, intersect. Scroll over, and actually I'm going to go right to the red line to make it a little quicker. Scroll to that answer. Enter 3 times, and we get 315. So that's the other one that I will circle. So your final answers for this are 135 and 315. No matter how you solve this, whatever replacement you end up making, you're going to end up getting the right answers if you check it with the calculator. So I would check by graphing. You can check by plugging in, but the graphing tends to be a little bit quicker if you get used to it and you have your screen already set up or your window already set up for that. Okay, so that's the gist of the squaring both sides. Sometimes it's going to be a little harder solving wise, but you definitely do have to check it at the end. That's a very important part of it, and the graphing technique that we did in the previous lesson will definitely be helpful with that.